Okay, maybe not. Yeah, this little fucker works. Let me wipe these fuckers off because they're gross. Alright, so now we're at the part where we're actually going to mount the radiator. So basically the way this thing mounts is it sits just like this, so that here your frame comes down like this, and your two engine mount bolts are right here, and they go through this. You're supposed to not even take the engine mount bolts out. You're supposed to just loosen them, slide it in, tighten them back down, then run your hoses to these two inlets and outlet, or this inlet and outlet right here. But I have a little bit of a problem. Not too big of a problem, so it needs to be addressed though, otherwise this will not go on. Let me show you. Okay, so here's my two engine mount bolts, right? So again, this thing is supposed to just slide right in, mount here, and then you shouldn't have an issue. It should just stay there. But the way this thing sits, even at its lowest position, I'm hitting my crash bar right here. So what I'm gonna end up doing is drilling a hole probably about an inch or so above the slit right here, actually kind of where that smudge is at, that's from the actual bolt. And then I'm probably gonna end up cutting about an inch of this off so I don't have anything dangling down. And that should be a complete fix for this. And then I just have to take the top bolt completely out, loosen up the bottom, slide it over, and put the top one in, and we're good to go. Easy fix. I kind of anticipated this going into this with the crash bar. Shouldn't be too hard to fix. Yep, just drill a hole. There we go, just to keep that from rusting. And let that dry. So the hole's drilled, paint's dry. So now I'm gonna take these two bolts out, pull this whole bracket off, put it in my vise, and cut a little bit of this off, then file it, clean it all up, spray paint it again to make sure everything matches. Alright, so I got these bolts loosened up. The instructions say to just loosen these, but I actually need to take this one completely out now. So we'll pop this out. Now we can slide this right where it goes. There we go. And now that right back in its hole. Perfect. And I did, of course, re-lock pick those bolts. Alright, so that's sturdy. Looks pretty fucking good, man. Looks like it's meant to be there. So everything's mounted. Everything's ready to go for the plumbing. But before I do that, I'm gonna take the oil filter adapter cover plate off, one screw at a time. I'm gonna take it out, thread locker, put it back in, just to have some thread locker on there. The instructions say you can use thread locker. I wasn't sure, given this is an oil component, but it says you can use thread locker. So I'm gonna do that real quick, and then I'm gonna get this thing plumbed up and go over how to do that. Okay, now plumbing this is very straightforward. The radiator itself is non-directional, so you can plug any nipple into any nipple. It's gonna be that easy. So basically I cut this in half, so I got two of these lengths now. So I'm gonna plug one in, tighten the hose clamp down, and then I'm probably gonna run it. You don't want any bends in this. You don't want any like sharp bends like this, because when these get hot, they get soft and they can bend and constrict the flow. So you want gradual bends. I'm just gonna kind of work this and see where I can get it in to where it's a nice smooth radius to both sides.
Yeah, Mara.
Can you ride with me tomorrow?
Yeah.
Absolutely you can.
You got a cool ride, Dad.
You hear that? I have a cool ride. And now I'm probably just gonna run this right under here to the bottom side, but I need to cut it to length. Okay, so this hose is going from here, nice gradual bend. Shouldn't have any issues with that, down to the bottom part of the radiator. Now this one's obviously gonna go to the top, so let's go ahead and get that one cut. If I run the same route, it might be too sharp of a bend. Maybe? Nah, I think it'll be all right. I think I may come out a little bit more with it, but it should be good. I'm a big fan of this nice uniform hose look, so yeah, I think that'll do fine. And I can't see this getting pinched and causing some flow issues. Okay, so that's all plumbed. I can go ahead and install the oil filter as normal. A little bit of oil on the O-ring, tighten it down hand tight, fill the bike up with oil, and then we start leak testing. The leak testing is going to be pretty straightforward. Run the bike, get it up to operating temperature, make sure there's no leaks at any of the connections between the radiator and the filter mount, and then of course make sure the filter mount and etc. So I'm going to go ahead and get the oil filter on, fill it up with the oil, and now this does say follow factory specs for oil, and this thing's like 2.9 quarts, so I usually just add 3, which actually might be better with this extra little space in here. So stay with your factory recommended levels, and then you need to check them after the oil gets flowing, it's up to operating temperature, and you have full oil in all of your little crevices now. And it says to add more if necessary, but to start out with, add your recommended amount. So we're gonna do that. New filter. Alright, now it's time to fill this thing up with the finest of Badger milks, AM's Oil Synthetic 20W50. So that's it for the install. Next I'm going to be, again, starting this thing up, getting it running, getting the fluids going, and double checking for leaks. Alright, so I got the spark plugs unplugged, the fuel turned off, and I have my battery tender plugged in. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start this, I'm going to crank it over a few times without actually firing the bike up, just to try to prime the oil system real quick. And then once it's primed, I'm going to go ahead and start it up and let it run for a little bit. I think I'd call that a success. No leaks. Now I need to obviously go ride it and put it under some real, higher pressure. But yeah, so far so good. Pretty easy install actually.